everyone, welcome back to another Art and Talk. Today I wanted to title this topic, There's More Where That Came From. And I don't know, God just gave me that title and I was like, okay, I'll use it. But today I wanted to talk about favor from God versus favor from man and how God works things out for our good. So I know we always hear Bible verses or hear people talk about how God works things out for our good, but we may look at the reality of our lives and think to ourselves, how is God working something out for my good when these are what my circumstances look like? And often our circumstances feel so real that we can't see a way out of it, or we can't see a way into the future, and we're so focused on the present troubles that we have that we don't believe God when He says, I have plans for you to give you a future and a hope. We don't believe when God says that He's working things out for our good. But I had a situation in my life that showed me, like, truly, when we don't know what's happening behind the scenes and we don't know what our life is going to become of, we can trust that everything's going to be okay because there's someone that does know, and that person loves us, and that God protects us, and that God cares about the very fiber of our beings. And so we don't have to worry because we are in good hands. And again, I love to talk about God and use the parent analogy because, if you were waiting on your parent to do something for you, would your parent be, and you had a good parent, like your parent's a good parent, would your parent be sitting there and plotting on your demise? Would your parent be watching your whole life fall apart and not be thinking of a million ways to help you put it back together? Like, inherently, they want better for you. And so if that's how much our humanly parents want better for us, how much more does God want? And I'll put all the Bible verses that I'm kind of referencing in the video, but I had an opportunity to apply for a position within my school program to become a representative for all the bachelor's students in my program. And I'm already really involved in my program. I'm already in a society, in a student club. And so the position, in my opinion, was perfect for me to apply to. And so I thought all I had to do was just submit an email and apply. And I did that, and I gave reasons as to why I would be a good candidate for it. But then I ended up realizing that 4 other people had applied for the position and that the school was going to cast a vote. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty introverted. I keep to myself. I'm extremely selective with who I'm friends with or who I even associate with. I don't know what it is about me, but naturally I'm just the type of person where if I don't feel like we're going to mesh well, or if I don't feel like we're going to get along, I don't bother forcing myself into your space. I don't bother not acknowledging them, and like I just ignore them, but I don't bother acknowledging that person's presence if I know that like we're not going to get along, or if I just don't have the best feelings about them. I usually keep my distance. And so I don't talk to a lot of people. A lot of people don't know my name, but I do a lot of behind the scenes things. And at the beginning of the year, God told me that He was going to hide me. He told me that I need to lay low and get my work done and be quiet and do my work and mind my business. And I think that's a verse from Colossians that I will put as a verse reference, but it says to be quiet, to mind your own business, to tend to your own work. And so at the beginning of the year, God told me to do that. And so I knew I would be laying low and I wouldn't really be in the public eye, but He had me doing all these little things that would eventually lead up to Him revealing me. And so I applied for this position, and in schools, a lot of the times with positions, people will just get their friends to vote for them, and when you don't have many friends, it's not that easy. And so long story short, I ended up not getting the position. I tied 3rd place with another girl, and I was just like, you know what, that's a little disappointing, but it is what it is. Like I was in a complete mode of surrender, and I just gave it to God. And 2 days later, I got an email saying, like, I know you didn't get this position, but you or the girl that you tied with can choose to sit on this board council and be a representative. And the synopsis that the email gave was super boring. The board council sounded super boring, and so the other girl didn't reply to the email. But I was just like, you know what, why not? Let me just get involved. Let me just do it. Let me not be a sore loser. So I was like, if this position is still open, I would love to take it. And so long story short, the position became mine. And I found out that I was actually sitting with the director of my program. And so this is the highest of the highest in command of my program. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, like this council meeting is a big deal. And so I attended the council meeting today, and I promise you, I walked in and everybody was just like, oh my gosh, hi. And everyone was like saying my name, and everyone's like, we're so happy to have you here. We're so happy that we have a student to represent this. And like the director was so enthusiastic about seeing me. He was like, come sit in the row with us. We're so happy to have you here. And in that moment, I realized God put me in a position that man could never have put me in. While man was voting for the people they wanted to vote for, and that was putting people in certain positions, God literally put me in a position that, like, the way that I got into the position, there's no other way that I could have got into this position without losing first. And that loss in the moment felt really bad. And that loss in the moment felt like almost like a personal failure. Like nobody in my cohort wanted to vote for me. But then God put me in a place where I may not be popular among my peers, but I was popular among people who were in positions of power and authority. And I remember one of my student advisors, he came up to me and he was like, I want you to know that being backed by this council, you're going to get amazing reference letters. You're going to get into your graduate school years. You're going to get accepted into your master's. Like knowing these people, no student knows these people like the way that you know them right now. And he's just like, make sure to make a good impression, make sure to keep these people close. And so long story short, when I was denied by man, and when I was denied by I guess man's authority, the courts of heaven were deciding on a decision in my life. And they decided that we're going to bypass your peers and put you I'm sitting with the director of the school of my program. Like it's ridiculous. Like he runs and oversees everything. I never in a million years thought that I would be sitting in the same room as him. And we had a conversation after the meeting, and he's like, I want to stay in touch with you. I want to work with you. And I already have this feeling, you know, when you have that feeling that's just like, okay, God's going to do something great. I already have that feeling that he's going to blow this up in my life, and I'm going to become a very prominent figure in my school in terms of directory and in my program. And that's nothing that I can take the credit for. And so I say all that to say, maybe you needed to be hidden for a little while. Maybe you needed to lay low. Maybe God needed to work on a couple of things and tweak a little bit of things behind the scenes for you. But when all is said and done, and he repurposes you and puts you back into the light, you are going to be in a position of power. And this is not about pride. This is not about thinking you're better than everyone else, but God makes sure that he exalts the right people. He exalts righteous people. He puts righteous people in places of power to do his work throughout the world. And in my case, it's to do his work throughout my school body. And so I guess I say all that to say, like, God really has our best interests at heart. And I think a lot of the times we forget that God is not this distant figure. Like he knows everything about us. He knows that we like little figurines. He knows that we like pink to purple sunsets. He knows that we like long walks when the breeze has a specific temperature to it. Like he knows every single thing about us. And he knows he made us. He intertwined. He made our personality. He made our likes and our dislikes. Like he knows how to please us. And I think a lot of the time in the church, when we're talking about doing things for God, everything sounds so sacrificial, and everything sounds like I'm just constantly losing. I'm just constantly giving things up. But when we serve the good God that we serve right now, he will never let us leave empty-handed, right? With the devil, it's always like take and never give anything back. But with God, it's like it's a 50-50. Like you win, he wins, heaven wins. And it's so beautiful how he uses us and repurposes our lives. And it made me think of a verse from Proverbs. My favorite Bible verse is Proverbs 3 and 5 through 10. But just above that verse is Proverbs chapter 3 verse 3 to 4, and it says, never let loyalty and kindness leave you. Tie them around your neck as a reminder. Write them deep within your heart. Then you will find favor with both God and people, and you will earn a good reputation. And I was like, if this does not apply to my situation right now, I don't know what does. And my trait, and in my hiding season and in my building season, where I had to confront things that had been weighing my life down. I had to deny myself. I had to humble myself. I had to expose myself to God and tell him the things that I've been dealing with and the things I've been struggling with. And in the midst of him revitalizing my character, he strengthened the loyalty within me and the kindness and the graciousness and the gentleness. And I also have a great skill of being interpersonal, and he strengthened all of that within me. And I never let that leave me. I never let, the kindness, the compassionate side of me leave. I never let the gentle side of me leave. And in a way, it was written deep inside my heart. I always made sure that I treated people with respect. Like, my biggest thing is I'm going to leave people better than I found them. And I always try to make sure that I'm not, adding more sorrow to people's lives. Like, if I can help you in one way, I do. And because of that, God said we will find favor with both him and people and earn a good reputation. And I believe that's exactly what he's doing in my life right now. And he's not doing it in the way that I expected. The way I expected to earn a good reputation was among my peers. But because I'm not popular, because I don't have a lot of friends, I'm like, okay, there's no way I can earn a good reputation now. And God flipped the script, and he literally put me in a position where I have a good reputation with the highest of the highest in command. And I didn't even think that was possible. And so while you're enduring the things and going through certain things in your life, and you don't know where things are going, you don't know how God can turn this around in your favor, you don't know if this circumstance or this situation will ever change, I encourage you, number one, to pick up your Bible and read it, because it'll tell you a thing or two about your life. But I also encourage you to understand the character of God. And if you don't, dedicate time to understanding his character, because when we know his character, we know he will never leave nor forsake us. When we know his character, we know he said that we will be a lender and not a borrower, that we would be in the front and not beneath, or like we know these things about him. Sorry if I butchered that, but we know these things about him, and we know these things that he says about us. And so I encourage you today, if you're in that season where you're just kind of laying low, or you don't ever think, your reputation can be rebuilt, or you don't know how you're going to get your foot in, like, that's not for us to worry about. The only thing that you're responsible for is how you behave, how you act, and what your character remains like when you enter that room. God will get your foot in the door. You need to work on yourself and work with God simultaneously to make sure you can maintain your position in that room. But getting in the room is no problem, because our Father knows people in high places. Our Father is in a high place. And so it's about to get good for you. It's already getting better. There's more to come. And I hope that this encouraged you, and I hope that this showed you that you don't need man's approval or the world's approval to do good and great things. There's more where that came from. That's how I started the audio. There's 100% more where that came from. And that means, like, God's not just finished with you right here. God's not just gonna bring you this far to leave you here. There's so much more where this came from. And we are directly connected to the resource. We're directly connected to him. So we know that more is available to us. But in the midst of that, never forget how you got here, and never forget who brought you here, and make sure that you're continuing to grow in your relationship with Christ, and make sure that you're continuing to learn his word. And again, I didn't just get here overnight. It took surrender. It took being honest. It took repentance. And so we have to make sure that we're playing our part, and God's, of course, always going to play his part. So I hope that this helped you today. I just know that this situation in my life gave me a little bit more hope. I was so tired of my life being boring, but I feel like this really just encouraged me, boosted my joy, just gave me a lot more happiness. And I bless God for knowing exactly when to do that. Bless God for knowing exactly when to change the situation around our life. Bless God for knowing when enough is enough. And so I pray that this encourages you, and I thank you so much for listening to this audio. I hope you join me again next time for another Art and Talk.